The conference room door burst open with a violence that shattered the fragile poise I'd built over months of sleepless nights. There she stood, the CEO's daughter, Ilara Voss, all sharp cheekbones and designer disdain. Her heels clicking like gunfire on the polished marble floor. My pitch deck flickered on the projector behind me. Slides of innovative algorithms that could revolutionize their supply chain. Ideas I'd bled for. The CEO, her father Harlan Voss, leaned back in his leather chair. His silver hair catching the fluorescent light, a faint smirk playing on his lips as if he'd been waiting for this interruption. "We don't need your ideas anymore," Ilara spat, her voice slicing through the air like a scalpel. She tossed a folder onto the table, papers spilling out. My papers, my blueprints, photocopied and marked up with someone else's notes. "We've got better ones now. From someone who actually knows what they're doing." The room went silent, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and expensive cologne. My heart slammed against my ribs, a wild animal trapped in a cage. Humiliation burned in my chest, hot and acrid, spreading to my face until I felt my cheeks flush under the gaze of the board members. I'd poured everything into this. 2 years of freelance consulting, scraping by on ramen and red-eye flights, all for this shot at Voss Industries. And now this girl, barely out of business school, handed the world on a platinum platter, dismissed me like yesterday's trash. I stood there, frozen, my mouth dry as sandpaper. What do you mean?" I managed, my voice cracking, betraying the fury bubbling beneath. Ilara's eyes, cold blue like her father's, met mine with a pitying glare. "Oh, come on, Alex. You really think we'd stake our future on a nobody like you?" "Dad, tell him." Harlan cleared his throat, his fingers drumming on the mahogany table. "Alex, you've done good work. But Ilara's right. We've acquired similar concepts from a more established firm. Your non-disclosure was ironclad, but ideas float around. It's business. Business." The word echoed in my skull, a hollow excuse for theft. They'd stolen my pitch, my intellectual property, repackaged it with their resources. I could see it now. The late-night emails I'd sent Harlan, the prototypes I'd shared in confidence. Betrayal twisted in my gut like a knife, slow and deliberate. Anger surged, raw and unfiltered, making my hands tremble as I gathered my laptop. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to smash the projector screen that still displayed my stolen dreams. But I didn't. Not yet. As I stormed out, the elevator doors closing behind me with a soft ding, resentment festered. In the mirrored walls I saw my reflection, disheveled tie, eyes red-rimmed with unshed tears. Heartbreak. No, this was deeper. A shattering of trust, of self-worth. I'd trusted Harlan, mentored by him in my early days at a smaller firm. He'd been a father figure, or so I'd thought. And Ilara. We'd crossed paths at industry events. She'd flirted once, over cocktails, her laugh light and promising. Was that part of the setup? A honey trap to loosen my lips. Back in my cramped apartment, the city lights blurring through rain-streaked windows, I paced the worn hardwood floors. The scent of takeout containers lingered, a reminder of my solitary life. Obsession took root that night, tendrils wrapping around my thoughts. I replayed the scene. Ilara's smug tone, Harlan's indifferent nod. Denial whispered first. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, a coincidence. But as I scoured my emails, piecing together timestamps, the truth glared back. They'd ghosted me for weeks after I sent the full proposal, only to resurface with this meeting. Fantasies of justice flickered in my mind like dark flames. What if I leaked their secrets? Sued them into oblivion? But Voss Industries was a titan. Lawyers on retainer, influence in every corner. I'd be crushed. No, revenge needed to be personal, surgical. Guilt nipped at the edges. Was I overreacting? Harlan had a family, Ilara her ambitions. But no, their betrayal wasn't just professional. It was a gutting of my future. I'd lost contracts, burned bridges chasing this deal. Cold resolve settled in, a frost over the fire of my anger. Days blurred into a haze of quiet calculation. I skipped meals, my stomach churning with acid resentment. At night, doubt crept in. What if I was wrong? What if my ideas weren't original? But the evidence mounted. Screenshots of their new product announcements, eerily mirroring my pitch. I started small. Anonymous tips to industry blogs, hinting at Voss's shady practices. Subtle hints, nothing traceable. Tension built in my chest with each post, a slow burn adrenaline that made my pulse race. One evening, as thunder rumbled outside, my phone buzzed. It was Harlan. "Alex, let's talk." Off the record. My heart skipped, a mix of fear and triumph. Was he scared? I agreed to meet at a dimly lit bar downtown, the kind with sticky counters and neon signs flickering like dying stars. The air smelled of whiskey and regret. Harlan arrived first, nursing a scotch, his face lined with weariness under the low-hanging lamps. "Son, you know this game's rough," he said, his voice gravelly, eyes avoiding mine. "Ilara. She's ambitious. Pushed me to pivot. But we can make it right. A settlement, maybe." Settlement. The word ignited fresh fury. He thought money could erase the humiliation. I leaned in, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "You stole from me, Harlan. Ideas I trusted you with." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Ideas are currency. You should have protected them better." There it was, arrogance, unmasked. No apology, just deflection. As he droned on about opportunities, I studied him, the tremor in his hand, the bags under his eyes. Vulnerability. Ilara's influence was cracking him. Moral conflict gnawed at me. Was I becoming like them? But the memory of her interruption, that casual dismissal, fueled my resolve. Leaving the bar, rain soaking my coat, I plotted deeper. I'd infiltrate their world, turn their betrayal against them. Friends in tech owed me favors. A hacked email here, a planted rumor there. Suspense coiled tighter, each step forward laced with fear of discovery. What if they traced it back? Prison. Ruin. But obsession drowned the doubts. This wasn't just revenge. It was reclamation. Weeks later, at a gala Voss hosted, black ties and crystal chandeliers, I slipped in uninvited, heart pounding against my ribs. The ballroom thrummed with laughter and clinking glasses, the air heavy with perfume and cigar smoke. Ilara glided through the crowd, her red gown a slash of color, Harlan at her side like a puppet master turned marionette. I approached under a false name, my smile a mask over seething resentment. "Impressive event," I said to Ilara, our eyes locking. Hers widened slightly, recognition. Or paranoia. She tilted her head, lips curving in that predatory smile. "Do I know you?" "Not yet," I replied, voice laced with hidden venom. The conversation flowed naturally, her words revealing cracks. Harlan's health failing, boardroom tensions. Suppressed rage simmered in me as she boasted about innovative acquisitions. My ideas rebranded. As the night wore on, I planted the first seed, a whispered doubt to an investor about Voss's ethics. Subtle, deniable. Tension escalated. I felt her gaze on me across the room, suspicious. Fear mixed with exhilaration. Was this the start of their unraveling? Back home, guilt resurfaced in the quiet hours. Harlan had once praised my potential. Ilara, beneath her armor, seemed driven by fear of failure. Were they monsters or just survivors? But betrayal's scar ran deep. Planning intensified. I'd expose their fraud at the upcoming shareholder meeting. Hacked files, anonymous leaks. The slow burn ignited. Revenge no longer a fantasy, but a looming reality. The shareholder meeting loomed like a storm cloud over the city skyline, the Voss Tower piercing the gray dawn. I'd spent nights in my dimly lit apartment, screens glowing with code and documents, the hum of my computer fan a constant companion to my racing thoughts. Obsession had morphed into a cold, unyielding resolve, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Was this justice, or had I crossed into darkness? My hands shook as I reviewed the files. Emails proving they'd lifted my pitch verbatim, Harlan's sign-off on the theft, Ilara's gloating memos. Moral conflict tore at me. Exposing them could destroy lives, including innocents at the company. But humiliation's echo, her words, "We don't need your ideas anymore," drowned the guilt. I arrived early, disguised in a suit borrowed from a friend, badge forged with a hacker's help. The lobby buzzed with suits and briefcases, the air conditioned to a sterile chill that matched my nerves. Security scanned me, and for a heart-stopping moment, I imagined alarms blaring. But I passed, slipping into the auditorium where rows of chairs faced a stage bathed in spotlights. Harlan stood at the podium, practicing his speech, Ilara beside him, tablet in hand, her posture rigid with unspoken tension. As the room filled, I took a seat in the back, pulse thundering. Subtle hints of my plan had already rippled. Anonymous posts on forums questioning Voss's innovations, whispers in investor circles. Ilara's eyes darted nervously during the Q&A prep. Did she sense the noose tightening? Suspense built with each minute, a vice around my chest. Harlan opened strong, his voice booming through the speakers. Voss Industries is pioneering the future with our new AI-driven logistics platform. My platform. Anger flared, hot and immediate. I waited, biding time as graphs flashed on the screen. My graphs tweaked just enough to evade lawsuits. Then, the twist I hadn't anticipated. During the break, Ilara cornered me in the hallway, her perfume cloying in the narrow space. "I know it's you," she hissed, voice low but laced with fear. "The leaks, the rumors. What do you want?" Her admission stunned me, admission of guilt. Or bluff. Heartbreak resurfaced. Up close, she looked haunted, shadows under her eyes. "You ruined me," I whispered back, suppressed rage cracking my voice. "This is payback." She laughed bitterly, a sound like breaking glass. "Ruined? You think you're the only one? Dad's dying, Alex. Cancer." He pushed the theft to secure my future. "It's not personal." Not personal. The revelation hit like a gut punch. Harlan, the titan, frail. Guilt surged, layering over resentment. Was my revenge targeting a dying man? But her eyes held manipulation, truth, or a ploy to disarm me. Inner turmoil raged, abort or press on. Fantasies shifted from destruction to something sharper, more poetic. The meeting resumed, tension electric. As Harlan fielded questions, I activated the hack from my phone, a virus slipping into their system, projecting the stolen emails onto the screen mid-presentation. Gasps rippled through the crowd as words appeared. "Ilara, finalize the pivot. Use Alex's blueprints. He'll never know." Chaos erupted. Harlan froze, face paling under the lights, the microphone feedback screeching like accusation. Ilara rushed the stage, her heels echoing, voice shrill. "Technical glitch. Shut it down." But the damage was done. Investors murmured, phones out, recording. I slipped toward the exit, adrenaline singing in my veins. Fear clawed cops. Retaliation. But cold resolve held. This was justice. Outside, rain pounded the streets, mirroring my turmoil. I ducked into a cafe, steam from coffee cups fogging the windows. Doubt crashed in. Harlan's illness real? I checked records later, hacked medical files confirming it. Obsession twisted into regret. My revenge, once righteous, now felt tainted. Had I become the betrayer? Hours later my phone rang. "Ilara. Meet me. Loan. We can fix this." The warehouse she chose was abandoned. Shadows dancing under flickering bulbs, the air thick with dust and decay. Suspense peaked as I entered, every creak amplifying my paranoia. She waited in the center, Harlan beside her in a wheelchair, oxygen mask hissing softly. "You win," Harlan rasped, eyes dim but sharp. "Settlement." "Silence. Take it." But Ilara's hand trembled as she handed papers. Hidden motives surfaced in her gaze. Desperation, not defeat. "Sign, and it's over." As I scanned the document, a clause jumped out. Admission of my fabricated claims, waiving rights. Trap. Fury reignited. They'd turn it on me, paint me the villain. No, I said, voice steady. This ends now. The twist unfolded swiftly. I revealed my backup. Live-streamed evidence to regulators. Time to drop if I didn't cancel. Harlan's face crumpled. True heartbreak etching lines deeper. Why, Alex? I mentored you. Because you betrayed me. I shot back, but guilt laced the words. Ilara lunged, grabbing my arm, tears streaking her makeup. He's all I have. Please. In that moment, moral grayness enveloped us. I could destroy them utterly, or walk away with partial victory. Obsession wavered. Revenge's cost stared back in Harlan's frail form. I chose mercy's edge. Leaked enough to tarnish, not ruin. Voss' stock plummeted, Ilara ousted, Harlan retired in disgrace. But the payoff was bittersweet. Alone in my apartment, the city silent, I felt hollow. Justice. Or just another betrayal, this time self-inflicted. Years later, a letter arrived. Ilara's handwriting. You were right. But so was I. We all break for family. Enclosed, a check substantial. Poetic justice or guilt money. I tore it, but the doubt lingered. Revenge's fire had warmed me, then scorched my soul.